Hello, everyone. My name is Ana Martha Ayala, and I'd like to welcome you to my YouTube channel. As a reminder, I do every video in English and Spanish, and the degree theory is based on modern Western astrology using the Placidus House system. In today's video, I wanted to talk to you about the eclipse that we're having today, March 3rd, at Virgo or in Virgo at 12 degrees 51 minutes, and there's a huge stellium of planets in Pisces. So let me share my screen. All right, so as you guys know, I use AstroSeek, astro-seek.com. And what I do is I go here, moon calendar, eclipses, solar, lunar. Here you have the full moons, new moons. Anyway, when you press the eclipses for solar and lunar, you get this list. And here we go. March 3rd, total lunar eclipse in Virgo at 12 degrees 51 minutes. And when you click here, it gives you this. So this is what the eclipse chart looks like. And as you can see, it is a full moon because the sun is in opposition to the moon. Okay, that is the full moon eclipse. And this is a south node eclipse, meaning that something is going to end, something is going to be lost, something goes away. All right. And when the eclipses are close to the nodes, it is a fated event. And then you can see the stellium of planets here. There we go. We have Mars at 0 degrees of Pisces. Of course, the North Node is at 8 degrees of Pisces, and you guys know that the nodes travel backwards. They go this way because the nodes are gonna, this summer, they're gonna enter Aquarius and Leo. So we have the sun at 12 degrees 53 minutes. We have Mercury at 20 degrees. We have Venus exalted in Pisces at 26 degrees. So, and on top of everything else, we have this sextile from Uranus to the whole stellium here of planets. Well, actually, it's the exact sextile is to Venus. Mercury, no, because it's a little bit too far for my taste, but it is a sextile from Uranus to Venus in Uranus and Taurus. So, all right. So let's talk about Virgo. Virgo is the need for control, for perfection. It's all about work. Virgos are workaholics. It rules health, like your health habits, organization, cleaning, being practical, looking at the small details, because Virgo is very detailed oriented. It's also very consistent. It looks for efficient results. You know, they don't like to waste time. Like I said before, a full moon eclipse is things come to an end. And of course, this one is conjunct the south node. So again, to lose something, to leave something behind. In this case, Virgo is work. So I anticipate, like I did when I did the video on the nodes shifting to Pisces and Virgo, I said that there would be a lot of layoffs because this one is no exception. It's a full moon in eclipse in Virgo, so the layoffs will continue. And I'm not telling you something that you haven't seen or you don't know. AI is one of the main culprits, let alone the economy. But it could also talk about, and of course, the way it impacts your personal chart, we'll look at the ascendants, we'll go through each one of them. But also Virgo deals with habits, right? Like your routine, your health. So it could be an ending of an unhealthy habit. It could be an ending of maybe taking some kind of pharmaceutical drug or drugs, in general. Virgo is also a service-oriented sign. So maybe you've been giving too much of your time, your effort, your money, and you've been forgetting about yourself. And then you need to, like, that has to come to an end, right? It has to stop. So you need to ask yourself, what is draining your energy, your finances? What routines do you need to let go of? Make them more efficient, right? Um, all of those non-ending obligations need to get in order, right? You need to come up with a new routine, something that gives you more space, more time to yourself, because that stellium in Pisces is the natural ruler of the 12th house. So the 12th house is all about solitude, about meditation, about spirituality, spending and then spending time alone just to recoup that energy, right? So Pisces is also being a dreamer. You don't need to get it right, you just need to be in the realm of things, right? It's also about mysticism. eh, you need to know what matters, having faith is also Pisces, having a spiritual practice. How do you get your dreams accomplished? That type of energy, because we have that stellium and Mars is there. So Mars is going to ask you you know, to get things going. Now, Mars doesn't feel all that great in Pisces because it's diffused, right? But at least you're going to get a little bit more of an in doing this. Um, Because there's a stellium of planets in Pisces, this full moon eclipse is going to be very emotional because there's a lot of water. We got, we have Jupiter in Cancer, we have all these planets in Pisces. It's a lot. So Mercury is also retrograde in Pisces, and Mercury is the ruler of this eclipse. So Mercury in Pisces is confusing. Remember that Mercury rules Virgo. So this eclipse is definitely it's a double whammy for Mercury, right? So with Mercury retrograde, you need to edit or re-edit, revisit, redo, maybe redo a work project, revisit. Like I said, it's to review things over again. Now the moon has a sextile from Jupiter right here. This sextile. So so it could be something family related as well, because the moon is the natural ruler of Cancer, and Cancer rules family. So that's why I'm saying it may be something family related. And then, like I said, Mars and Pisces, your energy doesn't have any boundaries. So it's foggy, it's inefficient. Mars can also be very emotional here. So make sure you don't lose your temper when it comes to this, right? So, all right, let's take a look at the 12 ascendants, right? So we have Aries, Aries rising, and the full moon eclipse. Wait, let me stop sharing my screen so you guys can see a little better. All right, so for Aries rising, this full moon eclipse is happening in your sixth house. So pretty much everything that I said about Virgo is going to apply to you. It's about ending a bad health habit, like maybe eating too much sugar, too much fat, not exercising. It could be a chronic condition as well because of the stellium of planets in Pisces in the 12th house. So you're one of the signs where your position at work can be ending because it's in the sixth house. So it can be very emotional, especially like if you've worked for the company for many years. and your position gets eliminated and you get laid off. So just keep that in mind. If you have a sick pet, this may be where it parts, right? Because again, it's a South Node eclipse, so you're going to lose something. Also, if you're providing a service to someone, maybe like a caregiver role, it may end. You have a stellium of planets in Pisces, so later, after the eclipse, you may need or you may feel the need to just rest and relax and to unload. You may want to be just alone, to decompress, to just, chill. Okay, Taurus. For Taurus, this full moon is in your fifth house. So, fifth house here, we're talking about romantic relationships, kids, hobbies, vacations, having fun, creativity. So maybe there's a fated activity with one of your kids, or there could be a surprise pregnancy that you didn't see coming. Um, there can be a fated meeting with someone in the romance department if you're single, right? But also with friends, because there's for Taurus, the stellium of planets is here in the 11th house in Pisces. So maybe you have a fated encounter with a person that then becomes your friend. Or maybe this new friend turns out to be something more later on in the fifth house. Maybe you're ending a hobby because you're monetizing it, because you're gonna roll it out as a business. Or maybe it could be just as simple as, hey, fifth house, you were on vacation and the trip is over and you're coming home. Just don't travel on the eclipse day. Gemini. For Gemini, the eclipse happens in your fourth house. Now, this eclipse might impact, obviously, it's going to impact Virgo, but Gemini is also ruled by Mercury. So this one can be, something is ending in your fourth house. It could be, and of course, fourth house is family, your parents, the physical structure that you live in, whether it's a house, an apartment, or something having to do with real estate. Perhaps you're closing on the sale of a house, right? You sold a house and you get an influx of cash because on top of everything else, money can be coming in. A family situation that comes to an end. Perhaps you're moving because when this eclipse, okay, so let me explain something. When the eclipses or something falls, especially eclipses in the angles of the chart, that's a heavy duty, it's a trigger point. Eclipses are trigger points to begin with, but this eclipse in the fourth house can cause a move, maybe because it's something career related. You get a new job, right? The old job ends and you get a new job, and then you have to move. Or maybe you're ending a renovation, you're renovating your property and it ends. It's finally over. Um, or maybe you're renovating because you're going to rent out part of your house. So, Cancer, Jupiter's in Cancer, so you're going to be making money out of something real estate related. I'm just saying that would be a nice for Cancer. For Cancer, this eclipse deals with your third house. So third house, it talks about siblings, it talks about extended family, your aunts, uncles, cousins, short trips, communications with neighbors, um, courses that you may need to be taking, right? So maybe you can get an opportunity to come that comes back around because Mercury is retrograde, right? So that you may need to reconsider. Maybe you applied for a job and you didn't get chosen, but now the company calls you back and says, hey, the guy that we hired or the person that we hired didn't work out and you were like second choice. Hey, are you interested in coming back? Or perhaps there's a certification course that is ending, or your continuing education requirements are finally met. Um, this can speak about communication with siblings, with neighbors. So, because it's all, the vicinity, right? So be mindful about what you say because remember that Mercury is retrograde in Pisces and the communication is kind of confusing. It's not clear. Um, Also, third house rules your thoughts. So maybe you can change your mind about a person in that third house. All right, so we have Leo. Leo, this eclipse is happening in your second house. So, second house is the money that you make from the job that you do. Maybe you're changing jobs because your position is ending. This is Leo is one of the signs along with Aries that can have something job related happen, right? Maybe your position is ending because you want to do something else. Hopefully it's not one of those forced layoffs things, but maybe you applied for a job and you didn't get chosen, but now the company calls you back. So you have to end one job to be able to start another. If this is the case, make sure that Mercury is direct before you start the new position. That's my recommendation. Also, for Leo, with so many planets in the eighth house, the subject of debt, joint finances can come up because maybe you want to be debt free, right? Like you want to end paying or not end, but pay off your car, pay off your credit cards, pay off your mortgage, your student loans. You finally reached a goal where eighth house related matters can just come to an end. Now you're debt free, God willing, right? All right, so Virgo. Virgo, the full moon eclipse is happening in your sign, and you have a stellium of planets in your seventh house. So, of course, this is happening in your first house. Lucky you, right? Virgo, you continue to have big changes because the South Node is in your sign. So you have to let go of patterns, habits, perfectionism. Maybe you're working too much. And well, that's not a maybe. Virgo works like they are the workaholic of the zodiac. Maybe a health issue can finally be resolved and you get the treatment that you need and you move forward. If you are in a long-term relationship or a marriage, because remember, the seventh house has a slew of planets in Pisces, right? Be careful with arguments with this person. Business partners are part of this seventh house as well, right? So make sure that the communication, like message sent, is the message that was received in order to avoid any future issues. So with Libra, the eclipse happens in your 12th house. So the 12th house talks about solitude, spending time alone, hidden stuff, something that is done behind the scenes, dreams, meditation, a spiritual practice. Use this eclipse to unlock some healing for yourself. Maybe you're working on applying for a job but it's a secret. So don't say anything to anyone. Or perhaps if you or someone are caring for someone in the hospital, because 12th house is also a rules isolated institutions like hospitals, monasteries, orphanages, prisons too. Um, Maybe if you're caring for somebody that's in the hospital, they get to go home. So with this eclipse, maybe the hospital stays ends, right? Also, there could be a conclusion to a long distance trip to a really far away country because 12th house is if you live in the United States, like ninth house would be Europe, but 12th house would be Asia, right? Like really far away, like the Philippines, like really, really far. Or it could be also a retreat. That maybe you went on a spiritual retreat, a yoga retreat, and it comes to a close and you have to come back home. All right, so Scorpio. For Scorpio, the eclipse is happening in your 11th house. So for Scorpio, 11th house deals with friends, group associations, um, both personal and professional, your goals, your dreams, your wishes. Communication with friends needs to be clear, crystal clear. Perhaps this eclipse takes away so-called friends that, you know, some people that we call friends are only friends because they use you. They use your talents, they use your time, your money, your effort. And, some of these friends need to go. So maybe it doesn't mean that you're going to fall out with this person because also a friend can move away, right? And you guys still stay friends. But then some people who, like I said, just use you, if this eclipse takes them away, let them go. Um, Maybe these are people that, say a lot of stuff about you, about your kids, or the things that you do for fun, because if it's 11th house, so if this is Scorpio, this is 11th house, fifth house, maybe they talk a lot of stuff well, here, this is hard to maneuver. Here we go. For Scorpio, the stellium is in your fifth house, so maybe these people are talking nonsense about your children or the things that you do or where you go on vacation or like what a dumb hobby you have or stuff like that. So you can also, besides the whole friendship thing, you can also review the groups that you belong to and see if they're still beneficial to you, right? Because sometimes we join groups and, you know, things fall out of place. So now it's time to end the membership, right? And maybe look for other groups that can better fit your goals. Now, for Sagittarius, Sagittarius, this eclipse is happening in your 10th house. So, with the 10th house, it's all about career, the status that you have in society. So, you can let go of a career. Sag is another sign that can also lose their job. Okay. You can let go of a career because maybe you want to retire or a new career that you want to do, like something that you have done before and you want to do it again, or maybe work for an old a company that you used to work for. Now, because the eclipse is happening here, it can change also the status that you hold in society, which is, basically a divorce, getting married, becoming a parent. Something changes or can change in the status. And this is obviously if you have planets close to 12, 13 degrees, right? Plus or minus 3 degrees. Um, Perhaps it's also more of a work life, family balance that you need to adjust. Maybe you're selling your business or you quit your job to be able to take care of a baby if you're pregnant of a baby that you're going to have because it's affecting the stellium is in your fourth house. The north node is in your fourth house. So maybe you're expanding your family because you're going to have a baby and you quit your job, right? You become a stay-at-home parent. Um, or maybe you need to move because of a new job or because you're, retiring and you're going to be downsizing. All right, so for Capricorn, this eclipse is happening in your ninth house, which is like one of the best houses to have an eclipse. And the stellium of planets is in your third house. So you could be coming back from a foreign trip. Maybe you're concluding a university study, right? Like you're going to graduate in May and get your degree. Um, Ninth house also talks about religions, religious and spiritual studies, your beliefs. Maybe you're publishing. Ninth house is also publishing a paper or publishing a novel or um, something, a legal case can also be coming to a conclusion as well. Um, so yeah, that's that's one of the best places to have an eclipse. The third, ninth house, that's it's okay. We're good. Aquarius. Aquarius, the eclipse is happening in your eighth house. Debt, sex, taxes, joint finances, the occult, inheritances, money that gets paid out all at once. So you're reviewing your joint budget that you've created with your partner. If maybe you want to pay off debt, pay off the credit cards, the car loans, save for retirement. Um, Perhaps you're going to be healing from a fear you have about debt or about money. The good news is that there's a stellium of planets in Pisces, right? Because for Aquarius, all of these groups of planets are here in the second house. So there could be money coming in. Save it, don't spend it. There can also be a new job offer. Remember, because it's the second house, it's money that we make from the job that we do. So maybe there's a new job offer that's going to come in that's going to give you all this money. Now, for Pisces, this eclipse is happening in your seventh house. This is the house that deals with long-term relationships, um, marriage, of course, business partners. Now, worst case scenario, a divorce can be concluding, right? Like you're finally going to get divorced. Um, but there could also be a karmic fated meeting. If you're single, you can meet someone. Now, careful with this karmic connection because it can be someone from a past life that turns out to be, one of these fairy tale romances, right? But um, there could also be a chance that this long-term relationship can be a huge lesson because it's karmic. So, if you're married or in a partnership, be careful what you say to your partner, both in love and business, because again, Mercury is retrograde, so you want to make sure that the communication is well received and it's understood. Also, seventh house is open enemies. So this can be, for example, a conclusion of a legal battle, or like I said, a divorce that, just ends and everybody goes their separate ways, right? All right, so with this, I conclude the video. I hope you found this information helpful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and send it to somebody else that it may help. As always, if you would like a chart reading with me, please send me an email to amaastrology@aol.com. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.